Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the City of San Ramon Policy Committee. Today's date is May 27th, 2020. Madam Clerk.
Prior to roll call, the city attorney would like to make an announcement regarding the teleconferencing of this meeting.
Thank you, Christina. Just want to make clear for the record of this meeting that the governor has issued executive orders making it legal and easing the restrictions on remote meetings under the Brown Act. For more information, please refer to Governor Newsom's Executive Order N-25-20. And the procedures for this meeting have been established to meet or exceed the standards that are set forth in that order. And now, Christina, if you would conduct roll call, I'll ask the committee members to recognize me one more time afterward. Thank you.
Vice Chair Hudson.
Here.
And Chair Clarkson.
Here. Back to you, Martin.
Thank you. I just now want to verify that our committee members can hear me well, number one. Number two, that both committee members have been able to hear all previous speakers. And number three, that each committee member believes, based on voice and face, that the two people that are representing themselves as committee members are in fact committee members.
I have not seen Dave in person for a number of months, but it still looks like him.
Excellent.
Still here.
Okay, so that's an affirmative answer from both members. I will turn it back over to the chair. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Item 2, public comment.
Items on the comment, we ask that you speak for no more, if you can, for 3 minutes or less on items that are on the agenda. Do we have anybody who would like to speak?
So for those in the audience that would like to speak under public comment, please use the raise your hand button at this time or *9 on your telephone. I do have one written comment for this portion of public comment, so I'll start with the written comment and then move to those that are in attendance.
Sounds good.
So the written comment I received is from Helen, and it reads, "Dear Mayor Clarkson and Councilmember Hudson, it is time to open our city government again. It's very difficult to participate in our democratic government hiding in our home via screens. It detours and shuts out certain population from participating, and it increases influences of certain individuals and activist groups funded with money equipped with technology gadgets to manipulate our government. This is not fair government, nor is it constitutional. Never should our freedom of speech be at the mercy or ownership of our tech gadgets. We should be able to open our government safely, now observing mask and social distancing measures. Body temp can be taken at door, and participants can be asked to sanitize their hands, etc. Please consider opening our government by June 1st. Thank you."
Thank you. And it should be noted that she gets to make those statements and share her thoughts. Has anybody else raised their hand?
Yes, we have 2 members of the audience that would like to speak at this time. The first one looks like they're representing an organization, SRV PFLAG.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll begin. The pride marquee, the pride flag on the marquee that you are considering is great. I thank you. Each of you are allies of the LGBTQ community. I thank you if you are. That's great. In my comments, I'm going to focus on why we still need the pride flag being flown during Pride Month. I'm president of the San Ramon Valley's PFLAG chapter, where the parents, families, and friends of kids who happen to be LGBTQ. My son graduated magna cum laude and is applying for law school. Many of our chapter members have LGBTQ kids who are happy and otherwise occupied, living very successful lives. Many other families didn't learn their kids were LGBTQ until after they left K through 12 and went away to college. On a visit home during spring break, etc., their kids told them in the last 15 minutes before returning to campus, "I'm coming out, I'm gay, I'm LGBTQ." So why have there been so many kids in San Ramon who are afraid to talk to their families about the thoughts they were having around their gender or who they wanted to date? Why do our kids have to leave San Ramon to live as the awesome people they are? Our kids are becoming lawyers, judges, doctors, award-winning teachers, and bank managers. They're social workers. They're kids who are raising their own families. Our kids are just like your kids. Our LGBTQ citizens are just like us. I previously submitted a proposed flag policy for the city with inclusive language. I'm requesting the pride flag as a symbol that says, we want you back home. San Ramon is better with you. In today's environment, while our LGBTQ citizens have rights in California that our LGBTQ people in other states can only dream about, they're under attack every day in the news, and they don't see or hear the dominant narrative protecting them. Through repetition and from authority figures, they're being pounded by hurtful messaging. Most transgender people are white and male. Those are the safest categories, which are historically respected. We have to act beyond our biases and expand our limited knowledge based on old rhetoric and old teachings. From the California State website, I'll read 2 quotes regarding flying the pride flag in California. In California, we celebrate and support our LGBTQ citizens, their right to live out loud during Pride Month and every month. By flying the pride flag over the state capitol, we send a clear message that California is welcoming and inclusive to all, regardless of how you identify or who you love. Seeing the pride flag prominently flown at the Capitol reminds people everywhere that while some states in the current administration dehumanize LGBTQ people, California stands firmly for equality and inclusion. It reminds LGBTQ Californians that our government is working to move our community forward. Let's show our civic pride in San Ramon and fly the symbol that says all are welcome here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next public speaker is Lisa Levy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm also speaking in support of what Jackie just spoke about. I just want to say that flying or not flying the pride flag sends a very clear message to all. It sends a message that this city is either welcoming, inclusive, and is also a safe place. Or it sends a message that the city will continue to erase and dehumanize our LGBTQ friends, family, neighbors, and community members. This is really about honoring and respecting the humanity of all people. When I go to a city that has that flies a pride flag, although I'm not a member of the LGBTQ community, but an ally, I know that it is a welcoming community, that I'd like to be a part of it or support it, or somehow I feel really good being there. When there is not one flown during Pride Month, I instantly feel shut down and wary. And what does that make our children feel like? What does it make others feel like when they're in the city during Pride Month that doesn't fly a flag? I think that we really have a clear decision to make. San Ramon can either become a beacon of hope and a clear leader in how we should treat our fellow human beings, or it can remain silent. Silence is very loud. It speaks 1,000 words. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next request is from N. Kopp.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, I'm a member of the San Ramon Valley community, and I'm an openly queer man. And I'm here today alive because I was saved by adults in my life who cared enough about me to actively voice their support for the LGBTQ community, and actively and in advance of me coming out, so voice their support for this community. Now I have the opportunity to support kids in their coming out process, which is really deeply a difficult process. It's soul searching. It is who you are. It's who you love. It's something that goes beyond just the community that you are a part of. And I'm telling you right now that symbols like the pride flag give hope to kids who are hopeless. I want you to think about every kid that is passing by that building, sitting in a car with parents in the front seat that either they're not sure if those parents are supportive, or they know for a fact that those parents would not be supportive of them coming out of the closet. Those kids are more likely to commit suicide and die. And I'm saying to you that when that kid sees a pride flag and knows that there's people in their community who will support them if they can just hang on a little longer, that saves a life. So my question is to you today is, do you want to save lives? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Aparna Matareddy.
Hi, good afternoon. Aparna Matareddy, Chair of the Open Space Advisory Committee. Thank you for considering using the marquee for displaying the pride flag digitally. But if we speak of inclusion and diversity in our city and support it wholeheartedly, there is no reason why we cannot celebrate everyone, and that includes our friends who are from the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community, and fly the flag. Times are changing. Times have changed. Let's move forward with the understanding that this is not just about flying a flag. It sends a message to everyone in our city that everyone is welcome here. Everyone is loved, no matter who you are, who you choose to love, and how you identify. As a city, we must embrace everyone wholeheartedly. The pride flag symbolizes hope, not just for the LGBTQ community, but for all of us in this city. Just by flying the flag and everyone seeing it, even if it is for a week, a weekend, it can have an enormous supportive effect on anyone, LGBTQ or straight, because it is about society accepting who you are and accepting who you love. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all the requests to speak at this time.
Great. I will close public comment. Next item.
Item 3, approval of minutes. 3.1, policy committee meeting minutes from February 26, 2020 for your approval or amendment.
Move approval.
I second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Vice Chair Hudson.
Aye.
And Chair Clarkson.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 4, unfinished business. We have none. Item 5, new business. 5.1, displays of flag policy.
Great. And who from staff will be talking about this?
Great, I will, Mayor.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. So the recommended action is for the policy committee to consider the display of flag policy and provide further direction. Historically, the city displays the United States flag, the state of California flag, and the San Ramon flag in accordance with state and federal law. The POW MIA flag and the Blue Star Mom flag are flown at Memorial Park. The city does not currently have a policy governing the display of flags. The proposed display of flags policy reflects the historic practice of the flag display in the city of San Ramon. The policy provides for the display of flags mentioned above in accordance with federal and state law. On occasion, the city receives requests to display flags and other visual messages from community groups and organizations. In lieu of displaying physical flags on city-owned flagpoles, staff proposes to consider the use of the marquee in front of City Hall to display messages and digital flags. The marquee is in prominent viewing location along Bollinger Canyon Road. There are no fiscal impacts associated with this action item, and we put it before you today for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to open it up to public comment. Dave, if that's okay with you first.
I think we heard it, but go ahead.
Well, just in case people wanted to speak specifically on this item and not the general one. Do we have any public comments on this one specifically, Christina?
Yes, I have received, it looks to be about 7 or 8 written comment on this item.
Okay.
So I can go ahead and start with the written, and then if anyone else wants to, that's in the audience that wants to speak.
Who has not spoken already on this
Correct.
issue? Thank you.
So the first comment is from Helen. As a resident of the city of San Ramon, I oppose our city hall to display any flag beside the flag of the United States of America, flag of California, and our City of San Ramon flag. City Hall is a public building and should not be political tool for the movement of interest groups who don't care about anyone else but themselves. The next comment is from Carrie Cliff. In San Ramon, we take pride in welcoming our community with open arms despite their sexual preference / lifestyle. We should show our acceptance to all who live in our city. The flag being flown is just one way to have representation of our community members. We need to come together and show our support for all members of the general public. The next is from Jenny Drummond. Hi, my name is Jenny Drummond, and I'm a teacher in the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. I'm also a product of the San Ramon Valley Unified School District, attending schools from kindergarten in 1996 through my 2009 high school graduation. As a young queer person, this was a toxic place. There was no shows of support, and I and the rest of the LGBTQ+ community were faced with contempt, disgust, and very little public support. Now, as we have seen so many strides toward acceptance of our community, it is vital that public and government entities take small steps like flying the pride flag to further demonstrate that their town, city, or state are welcoming of all people from all walks of life. Seeing pride flags meant the world to me when I was a student. It still does. And I know how important it is for my LGBTQ+ students to see themselves celebrated and embraced by their communities. The pride flag already flies in so many cities across California and the US, including over our state capital, to acknowledge and celebrate Pride Month. There is precedent to do so here in San Ramon, a place where this act of acceptance is so vital for our young students. Flying this flag is not a political act. It is instead further solidifies that we are one state, one nation, indivisible, and striving towards equality or equity. The next comment is from Rita Chakrabarty. As an ally of the LGBTQ+ community, it is my heartfelt wish to see San Ramon joining neighboring Dublin and flying the pride flag to commemorate June as Pride Month. Flying the pride flag, in addition to being symbolic, has a deep-reaching meaning and real-life consequences. It signals that the city's duly elected council and its residents believe that LGBTQ+ folks and the LGBTQ+ community need to be acknowledged and welcomed, actively, not passively. That is because this community and its members are still being persecuted and marginalized here in the United States and across the world. In these days of COVID-19 lockdown, I've read many accounts where discrimination and homophobia have been emboldened, even to the point of violence. I am proud to be living in San Ramon, which continues to be home to people of diverse backgrounds. Our strength lies in our diversity and inclusiveness. The city of San Ramon must proclaim its values and stand against bigotry, intolerance, and hate through leading by example to welcome inclusion and respect and find common ground in upholding these values. The next comment is from Taylor Briggs. My name is Taylor Briggs, and I am a graduate of Doherty Valley High School class of 2012. Growing up in San Ramon, it never felt like a safe place to explore my gender or sexuality. While I've had small inklings while I was in high school that I may not be straight or cisgender, I didn't have the courage to explore those feelings until I moved away for college. To my knowledge, there were very few openly LGBTQ+ people in my high school or San Ramon at large. What I can tell you is that had I known that San Ramon was an open and inclusive place backed by city government who believed that all people deserve the right to express themselves freely and openly, I may have had the courage to come out sooner than I did. I will never get back all the years that I lived in confusion and shame, but you have the opportunity to make your values of equity and inclusion known to all the LGBTQ+ and still closeted people in San Ramon. I promise you it will make a difference. Neutrality in the face of oppression is not actually neutrality, but instead an affirmation to oppressors that there is validity in their beliefs that LGBTQ+ people are less than. Be bold and clear in proclaiming that you are proud of the contributions that LGBTQ+ of San Ramon make your community, and that you welcome all who wish to join you in building a more welcoming and safe city. The next is from Elizabeth Howell. While it is not explicitly stated in the resolution, there is concern that the LGBTQ+ pride flag will not be allowed to be raised in San Ramon in the month of June. This flag does not violate any of the parts of the resolution, and it helps queer youth see their city supports them and their mental health. Please make it clear that if an organization follows resolution procedures, the pride flag would be allowed to fly in San Ramon. Better yet, please support a resolution recognizing June as Pride Month in our city so the flag can freely fly every year. The next is from Eliza Tinker. I am a PFLAG member of our San Ramon Valley chapter and mom to 3 terrific kids, one of whom is a member of the LGBTQ+ community. Flying the pride flag in San Ramon shows every citizen and visitor that our community is respectful, inclusive, and welcoming. What an amazing statement that is. All people, whether part of a minority group or not, recognize the pride flag as a symbol of equality. Let's show everyone the values we stand for by flying the pride flag in San Ramon. And the last comment is from Audrey Zarinkat. As an educator, a parent, a friend, a human, I implore you to not reject the pride flag. This beautiful symbol of acceptance, love, and social equality should proudly be displayed in our city so our LGBTQ+ neighbors know we are in support of them and that we love them. So that's all the written comment that we have received at this time.
And do we have anybody else in the audience who's raised their hand, who's not spoken yet?
We do not have any additional requests to speak.
Okay, I will go ahead and close the public comment section of this. And Dave, any comments you want to make on this discussion?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my hands around let me go back to Steve if I can. Because I don't have the staff report in front of me. Sheer genius, I printed it up and brought it home. You're saying that our policy now in the city is, or we are considering putting the flag on our, what do you call that out front?
Marquee.
And just stay with that thought for a minute, Steve. And I'm hearing 2 or 3 different things. I don't know, do we have a policy that doesn't allow currently? One of the last 2 speakers gave me the thought that we have a policy that doesn't allow the flag to be flown, gay pride flag or any other flag to be flown in this city. I didn't know of any of those. And I'm still trying to get my hands around a third thing. Are we being asked to fly these on the poles where the US flag, state flag, and city flag is? Because if so, and I haven't seen it in front of me, and it will probably have to go in front of the council if we go this far with it, where? I mean, below the city flag, above the city flag, below the state flag, above the state flag? I mean, so there's 3 questions in there. Is it a proposal right now, let's start with the first one, to recognize, and I'm gonna take, I've heard 3 to 4 days, I've heard a week, and I've heard the month of June, to fly the LGBT or the pride flag for the month of June.
So the first question, and I don't know if the city clerk has received any other requests, but I'm not aware of an official request for flying the flag this year. I don't know, Christina, you do have one? Okay.
We do, yes.
Okay. The second is we do not have a current policy regarding the display of flags in the city. So this would be just a proposed policy to start out with developing one. Third, the marquee, there's no restrictions on the marquee. We do have a marquee policy, but it's up to the discretion of the city manager. And Joe can definitely chime in on the marquee policy. So I believe that answers all 3 of your questions.
So Councilmember Hudson, if
yes,
just as the background, and so this flag policy came in to consideration because we do have it's in conjunction right now with June, so hence the public speakers were speaking specifically regarding the pride flag. However, there's multiple groups that this could apply to, that we have to keep in consideration of. And so our standard practice has been up until this point that only the government flags fly, but there has been, because City Hall is so new, given 3 or 4 years new, and we have the marquee up now, that that was a viable alternative on a high traffic Bollinger Canyon Road. And so, as you probably are aware, we've already displayed the San Ramon Valley School District's Everybody's Welcome Here. That's been going for probably a couple of years now that gets cycled through as part of it as well. And then I think there's some confusion on the resolutions. I believe maybe they're talking about proclamations because there would not be a resolution.
Yeah.
And so we do have a Pride proclamation that was submitted for a request for council on proclamation, and that will be going through in June, and the city council will have that proclamation. I believe it's the first council meeting in June. So there is a close connection given we're coming up on June, but this flag policy really applies to all groups, nonprofits, and any other non-governmental group that we would consider on the city hall flagpoles. And you do bring up an important question as to how that would be displayed if you were to want to move forward on that.
Well, I would just to give you my 2 cents on it, Mayor. If we're going to change a policy that has to do with the flagpoles out in front of the city, we're going to need 3 votes, not just 2 for beginners. I don't have a problem with bringing something before the council, but that's not going to solve the problem of June being Gay Pride Month. So to me, just initially to start off with, what you would put on the marquee, I think would be acceptable to the council. But we're going to talk, I think what we're talking about here is a policy for flags, because this is not going to be the only flag. And what I'm hearing is we don't have one, but I don't know how in the heck you can do this. And that we're not going to hold a special council meeting to do it and get the notice out to people, because when it comes to flags, people, when they hear about this, are going to come out and voice a lot of opinions. But I think it's something we should do if we don't have a policy. So I would recommend that we do put this before the council to get their feedback the first meeting of June, if it's not too low, even if it's just to introduce it, but allow the city manager to use the marquee as I think you're planning right now. Because this isn't as simple as just saying fly the flag. It's where and what's the policy for anyone that wants to do it. That's the way I'm reading it, and I'll leave it up to you, Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Dave. I'd like to lay the groundwork by talking about the things we have done as a city over the last few years, I think almost 2 years, perhaps 3, with the creation of the Inclusiveness Committee. I think one of the ground rules on the Inclusiveness Committee was to bring in all aspects of our community together. And that was a resident-driven organization that I've been participating in. The city manager has been there, along with our police department. So the city has also been very engaged in that, for the purpose of making sure that we are a very inclusive city. And out of that, by the way, came the Everybody is Welcome flag that was put together by a student at Doherty Valley High School, I believe, and I apologize if I'm wrong on that. And it was introduced at our Inclusiveness Committee, and something which we have now posted, I can say we, the school district posts at their schools, we put on the marquee. It is something which we embrace to make sure that everybody in San Ramon, all ethnic groups, religious groups, regardless of your orientation, that you are welcomed and appreciated and you can feel safe here in San Ramon. And that's been a goal we've had for years. It's one that we've worked on. In fact, we were proactive in having this going long before this ever came to our city. At the same time, I want to make clear that I think the 3 flagpoles in front should remain for the purposes they are: the city flag, the state flag, the American flag. I think having the discretion through the city manager to post, I hope that he has, to do this on the marquee is great. So I am okay with those general ground rules. If you want this to go up to council, Dave, I'm not going to say no, but my impression is, do you want this to go to council for a discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to get one other thing, just as a recommendation to who's ever going to be doing the staff report. I'd like to find out what Emeryville is doing. I don't want to say very close, but I'm been very active with their mayor, who is very much public about his LGBTQ status. And to see if we can just get through some of the things. I don't want to just do a flag and find out that's not really the problem. So in the flag, yes, where to put it, I think the council is going to need, we should address it, period. I don't think it should go away. And I think your initial idea of using the marquee, I don't know about schools where they're going to go with it, is at least the first step.
Great. Joe, I think you got some direction from us.
Yeah, so just it's not likely we'll make it to the first meeting in June. We'll try and get the second meeting. It just depends on the council business with the coronavirus hitting. We are backed up significantly, so we need to break the log jam, but we will get it to you as soon as possible.
Thank
And
you,
we
sir.
also need to know what the state's doing on their proclamation. If they have a month, I mean, doesn't do any good to state have the month of June and we do August. I mean, let's
So we
try and
are
coordinate.
doing a proclamation. It is happening.
We're doing that, Dave.
This is a general flag policy. The proclamation will be on the council agenda the first meeting in June. So that is separate from the flag policy, which is an overarching flag policy for the entire city and multiple organizations.
Great. And I want to thank everybody in the audience that came and participated and voiced their opinion. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item 5.2, consideration of resolution number 2020, candidate statement word count limit for the 2020 municipal election. And I'll be presenting the staff report.
Okay.
So for this upcoming election in November, the city does consolidate the candidate statement printing with the county. The county charges a flat fee for 200 words for the candidate statement. The election code does allow the governing body of the local agency to authorize word limitations up to 400 words. Historically, the city has allowed up to 300 words for the candidate statements. The county will allow candidate statements of 300 words, but the cost will double. Candidates are solely responsible for this cost of their statements as they are optional. And additionally, the city does not charge a filing fee to run for elected office. So this evening or this afternoon, it is suggested the policy committee would either allow for the 300 words that we've done in the past, or candidates can use the 250 words that's recommended by the county.
Dave, do you have any general thoughts on this?
I think we pretty much do what we did the last time. We send it to the council and anybody not running for office makes the decision. That's getting even, Bill, for the 30 years that you pulled this on me. I've heard arguments both ways. To me, the jump from 250 to 300 is exorbitant, but I've had people tell me it's worth it. So I'm completely.
Let's take it to the council, let them decide. I agree. I don't have any strong feelings either way. To get 50 more words in for almost double the cost. I actually have a question for Christina. Do people have a choice of going 250 or going 300? Or are we locking them into one or the other?
So essentially, the cost is not buying words. You're buying the space in the campaign. So 250 words fits a quarter of a page. And the moment you go up in words, you're buying half of the page. So if the city decides 300 words, we are essentially buying half a page in the guide. So the candidates, they could write 250, but they're going to be required to pay the double the cost because we've set that 300 limit and reserved that page space in the guide.
If they get the whole page, why are we limited to 300 words? Couldn't we go to 450 and still be on that page?
You can go up to 400 according to the elections code, but you can't go higher than 400. But
I'd like this to read 400 words or 250. That makes more sense. Because I might be willing to spend as a candidate more money if I can have 400 words to get more of the platform, more of my thoughts on page. So I'd like to have it, if 400 is the maximum and the cost stays at 1751, we should let it read that way. You okay with that, Dave? As conflicted as you might be on that?
400 words. Yeah. Well, what you're saying is how to present it for the decisions.
Yes.
And we never done one at 400. So how am I going to say no?
No.
The reality, no, but it's at half a page if you can get the 400 on. The real problem becomes when you start doing that stuff and doing asterisks and dots and check marks or whatever. If you go past the half page, you know, so be it. But what you're really saying is give us the options. If I got that right, and yeah, and if that is one of the options, I wouldn't dare not put it in there once you've disclosed it. So,
yep.
Yeah, I mean, so be it. I can't write that much, so.
Okay, Joe, is that good direction for you? All right, Christina?
Yes.
Okay.
Moving on to item 5.3, consideration of resolution establishing a voluntary campaign expenditure limitation for the 2020 municipal election. And I'll be presenting that report as well. So for this upcoming election, the seats that are available is the mayor and 2 council members, District 1 and 3. The courts have held that the amount spent by a candidate on their campaign election cannot be limited. The city does address this issue in its municipal code, stating through the voluntary action of city council candidates is to preserve and foster an orderly political forum in which persons may express themselves effectively, place realistic limitations on the amounts of money that may be spent in political campaigns for city council elections, decrease the cost of campaigns, and prevent the appearance of improper influence. Consistent with past elections, the city has established a voluntary campaign spending limit and offered candidates the opportunity to voluntarily agree to that limit. The council would consider a voluntary campaign expenditure limit based upon the number of registered voters while taking into consideration the price of postage, the number of mailings, and the cost of campaign signs. Within the staff report, I did provide a breakdown for each of the 3 elected positions, the mayor and the 2 council members. And you can set that amount per position or overall. So today I'm asking the policy committee to make a recommendation as to the voluntary campaign expenditure limit for the 2020 municipal election, and to forward the resolution with a recommendation for adoption to the city council.
Great. And anybody have raised their hands or make any comments on this?
For those in the audience that would like to make a comment on this item, please click the raise your hand button at this time or *9. It doesn't appear we have any requests to speak.
Okay, I'll close the public comment. Dave, any general thoughts you have?
My recollection is when we did this, it was like the total amount that you agreed to not surpass was tied to $1.25, it used to be 75 cents, $1.50 per registered voter. And I think that is the way that these council members, at least 4 of us, would remember it. I would present it that way when we make the decision. I think the history is the last 2018, we were $1.25 per registered voter. I'm not sure, but I mean, just $1 a registered voter is 40,000 for the mayor's race. That's not going to be as easy to reach as people think, but it is climbing up. I get it. I would say take a look at the history. If the last 2 or 3 elections have been $1.25, your debate's probably going to come down to $1.25 or $1.50. But I think we're looking at what, 40,000 registered voters?
44.
Yeah, that's little San Ramon has come to $100,000 an election. That's the way I'd look at it. I just, to me, it's $1.25 a registered voter, but we get Tuesday night, probably have 4 different decisions on which way to go, and let's see what we pick. I think $1.25 is more than enough, but that's me.
Yep, I think for the mayor, I don't disagree at all. I think for districts, the way I look at this differently is there are a number of fixed costs that are involved in running an election. And that your first 1,000 flyers cost X, and every flyer after that diminishes tremendously. And so there's whether it's signs, whether it's forming your web page, they're hiring perhaps a little mini consultant. So whether you run for a little district or for the whole city, there are certain fixed costs that you're going to have. And having thought this through, I think running for mayor at $1.25 is more than sufficient. No one's gotten even close to that, and being able to run very vibrant campaigns, especially in this environment. I think although if you're going to run for one of these districts and the population is around 11,000 or so, that I think you're going to need a minimum of $2 per voter to reflect what it would cost to run a campaign with all your fixed costs and then your variable costs. In fact, if I look back at the people who ran last time for council, all 4 of them spent more than that amount. They spent more than $22,000. So I think we need to have a minimum of $2, and that's going to be rather tight. Some candidates have seriously spent $4 per voter at 11,000 voters to run for council. But I think 2, from my point of view, would be I'd like to have that as one of the recommendations on the chart, so people can see what the dollar amount is at $2. And when they reflect upon what other people have spent these last years for running for council, it seems to be in line. So there you go.
Do you want it to be 2.25?
2, let's let council figure that out, but I think at $2.
Yeah, I was going to do it. I was going to present it that way also, because what they spent this year was the whole city. But if some of these races get pretty darned expensive, so it sounds reasonable. You won't get an argument from me if that's the way you want to present it. Let's do it.
Yeah, the fixed cost, you'll easily be into a 10,000, whether you run with 5,000 people or 40,000, your first 10,000 is pretty well fixed that you're going to have. Great. So we got some direction. I think we got a consensus on that. Madam Clerk, next item.
Before we move on to item 6, I did forget to read one public comment that we received for item 5.2.
Oh, sure. Let's go ahead.
From Helen. I wish we could require anyone running in November to disclose their citizenship for any position they are running in the city and county governments. This is to defend our city and county from foreign states who might harbor evil against us.
I think it should be noted that anybody who runs for office is a registered voter in the city of San Ramon, and to be a registered voter, you have to be a citizen of the U.S. So, all right, next item.
Item 6, policy committee comments.
Dave?
No.
No? Anybody on staff have any feedback for us? No? All right, I'm fine. Next item.
Item 7, adjournment.
Is there a motion there, Dave?
Wait a minute. Let's discuss this. Bye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.